Welcome to Work the Left Side. I'm hyped to announce my first tag team guests. I'm joined by Jack and Benjamin, aka Act 2. Guys, are we good?
Hello, how are you, Ed?
Very good.
Very good. I'm all good. 5 by 5. I called you Benjamin. I should just call you the Sweet Prince, or I didn't know what the right terminology was. So I'm being a bit more casual and just calling you Benjamin.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good.
Dudes, as I sort of said, you're my first tag team on the show. I've had individuals on from tag teams. I've never had the pleasure as of yet to actually speak to a team. So I'm hoping personally there's two of you guys, one of me. That means less talking from me. I will just sit here and let you regale us all with stories of the awesomeness that is Act 2. So obviously,
there will definitely be
talking about
lots of awkwardness.
What's that do? Sorry.
There will definitely be lots of awkwardness of this freezing and Ben trying to answer and then me answering.
That always happens.
Like, if you think there's any slick tag team synergy between us, and it'll keep freezing, and I'll think he's answering, and I'm not answering. There's multiple answers, but we'll pull through it.
It's all good. It's smooth in the ring. That's all that matters for you guys, to be fair. So, right, I'm going to get this straight out of the way. I mentioned it before we hit record. I normally start off with the generic questions like, how did you get into wrestling, blah, blah, blah. We'll touch on that in a bit. But Wet Cake Promotions. Looking through your cage match. Yeah, talk to me about it.
I love working for Wet Cake is the first thing I'm going to say. It is an offshoot of Sacrifice Pro Wrestling. Only runs once a year, and originated way before me and Jack were around, but was something that the Sacrifice roster just kind of did for fun. And I've got Hustle Malone is a graphic designer as well, so he'd make these graphics and things for a fake company called Wet Cake. And then after lockdown and Sacrifice got back up and running, they were like, why don't we make it a real thing? We've been on both Wet Cake shows.
I think we've won.
We've
undefeated a Wet Cake.
No, we lost the tag belts.
Well, we're not undefeated because we lost the tag scramble, but
yeah,
in the matches we were advertised for, we won, right?
In advertised matches, undefeated 2-0. We won a seminar, and also we won the Wet Cake tag team titles, and then defended them 6 times, and then lost them at once. But
6 times in a row.
6 times in a row with a concussion. So that's.
I looked on Cage Match, and I think literally like a massive chunk was Wet Cake. That's why it got my attention. I was like, the name, but it seems to be like 6 matches, just like posh.
Huge props to whoever did that as well, because that was up like as we were traveling home from the show. That was up so quickly. And like I feel like on Cage Match, stuff either gets added as it's happening or never. And there's just like huge gaps in people's careers and stuff. Ours is quite well updated. I'm not sure who does it. Thank you, whoever does do it. I think there's maybe there's like some gaps because there's an Act 2 cage match, but we don't have individual.
We don't have individual cage matches. I don't have a cage match.
If Mr. or Mrs. Cage Match is listening, please.
Yeah, I'd love a cage match.
Because you know who does? Jack, Luca Romeo has his own cage match.
Luca Romeo has a cage match.
Rookie Luca Romeo, and every match he's had is on it.
Doesn't know he's born.
Unbelievable. Kids these days get a cage match profile straight away.
Just spoiled for choice.
I know.
But obviously, talking about, obviously Wet Cake, and obviously notice Sacrifice on there. Anytime I get to shout out Sacrifice, it's always awesome because, all the good work that they sort of do. So that's definitely a promotion that I like to big up when possible. But dude, I mean, obviously, we'll do the generic stuff. Now I know about Wet Cake. I feel satisfied now. Yeah, that's it. To be fair, end of episode, right, wet cake, done, dusted. It's just an advertisement for 5 minutes for wet cakiness. But yeah, right, what got you guys then to be like, right, I like wrestling, I'm going to do this? What made you take those steps through the door in the first place? Did you both go at the same time? Did you know each other prior to wrestling, or did you guys just go to the same school and have that chemistry and was like, you know what, this is going to work?
Yeah, Ben started at the school. How long? Like 9, 10 months after me.
Yeah, I think it was about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd done a little bit prior, so I started at 14. I sort of found British wrestling through the ICW documentaries that were on the BBC. So always a big wrestling fan. I knew about British wrestling of like the sort of golden era of World of Sport and stuff, but didn't know that it was still a big thing in the country. I knew like obviously WWE and TNA. I was like a massive TNA kid. Found the ICW documentaries that sort of started the wormhole of ICW and Progress and Rev Pro, find all these other places, and finally found a school after like I was talking about this the other day. I probably for 2 years would just search wrestling school near me in like ICT class at school when I was supposed to be making scratch games. You just be like, where can I wrestle?
I did the same thing and convinced myself at 12 that I could definitely travel 3 hours by myself to go and train.
I'll just get the bus to Cardiff, easy, or I'll get the bus to London, because I didn't know that trains existed then, apparently. But I finally got to a school in Derby and was there for a little bit, and then went to a school in Stoke, and then sort of everything progressed from there. 9, 10 months into that, met Ben, didn't really like him.
Yeah,
he trained for a year, finally liked him. We had a match, started to like him, and then we became best friends.
Yeah, we had to fight each other in order to actually bond.
Yeah, we did not like each other until we wrestled. It's exactly the same.
Well, I mean, I was indifferent on you. It was you harbored the hatred.
Yeah, I specifically didn't like you. It wasn't a neutrality. I would go out of my way to say I did not like you.
Yeah, and it's Joseph Connor's fault.
It is all Joe Connor's fault.
Like it's Joseph Connor's fault. We've told him this since. But yeah, it was Joseph Connor's fault that old Jack Knudsen hated my guts for the first 9 months.
He was the leading reason. There was plenty of other reasons.
Oh, charmed.
I don't. Well, I've spoken to a few people that have had the pleasure of training with Mr. Joseph, and I don't know. I can imagine just kind of poking the bear a little bit and just winding you two guys up, and then just kind of stoking it.
Oh, he winds us up constantly.
He winds us. Yeah, we are never without being wound up by Joseph Connors at the minute. So, but we love him. We do. And he definitely loves us.
Yeah, he does.
So,
do you ever get? I mean, obviously, the guy I can't kind of class him as being trained by Styx. I don't know if Styx is very. It's a big thing if you get a hug from Styx. I don't know if Connors offers out the same sort of positive reinforcements of "good job" hug, or if it's just
I think we've had a hug. I think we've had a hug from both men mentioned.
We've definitely, we've had a hug from both of those guys.
Styx a big fan of Ben. Prefers Ben than me, but I think I also
that is true.
But yeah, he's got a soft spot for Ben. He really likes it. It's like a hi to me, but then a real fuss of Ben.
Oh, there you go. So not playing favourites here or anything, but got Team Connors. That's mental. So obviously, mentioning, well, again, referring to cage match. So I'm looking through. Places that you've worked, dude. I mean, you guys kind of hit the ground running. Obviously, this all kind of started recently when I saw you at True Grit. I was lucky enough to get to speak to you after the show. Shout out to Nikki for introductions. Obviously, second time at True Grit. You've been reminded that you'd been there previously in like a dark match, and then last time you got to go against Crashboat for the titles. How did you find True Grit? How did you find Left Bank?
First of all, that is one of the prettiest venues I've ever been in. It is gorgeous. For anyone who hasn't been, Left Bank is a converted church. I believe, and all of sort of the decor and everything that would go, it's all still there. It makes for a mental visual. We found out on that day that we met you that we were the first wrestlers to ever wrestle in Left Bank, which we didn't know about. That was the dark match you were talking about. We had no idea that we were the first people to wrestle there. So it was very cool to go back, especially after like sort of to compare where we were the first time we went there to recently when we wrestled Crash Boats. Was kind of mental to do, really.
Yeah, I think we feel like much more of like from that dark match to where we were at Crash Boat kind of feels like night and day. How we are as wrestlers and how we feel as a team, as like, and I've said this to Ben previously of like I'd watch old stuff of us, and you could see that we tried and we were trying.
Yeah, we were definitely trying,
and all the effort was there, and the thought was there, and I feel like the first time we were there, the thought was there, but then that match against Crash Boat, we could actually do what we wanted to do, and we could work as the team that we wanted to be, and put our best foot forward on that show.
That's it. I mean, from a fan's perspective, to obviously, to give you guys flowers, you went into that match as, for a lot of people I spoke to, some people know True Grit, some people know a lot of other stuff, or they only know True Grit kind of thing. So some people knew of Act 2, some people had seen what you'd done previously, were excited to see you. Other people were like looking forward to seeing this new team they'd not seen before. But everybody afterwards were like, that was awesome. I mean, that was, you guys were on par, on the same level, as Crash Boat kind of thing. You held your own against the champs, and the fans, like the people I spoke to afterwards, that was one of the first matches that, got talked about.
Thank you. Yeah, and they're such a solid team as well. They're such like a great tag team outfit. And wrestling other teams only makes us sharper as a team, and being there with Crash Boat, it did just feel like two teams going at it. They completely understand their side of tag team wrestling, and what they do is bulletproof.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, well, you guys are like very similar in the way that you work. I mean, obviously, again, looking through your matches, I presume, when you're going to get a team like Crash Boat, you can kind of like, right, we're going to keep it fast. We're going to hit everything. I know you guys have been in the ring with Reese and Rogan. I'm guessing that's a totally different mindset. That's kind of like, crap, right? We know we're going to be working from underneath. We're the underdogs. We just got to hit and move.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, for the underdog story, like me and Jack aren't the biggest in size in the world, but of course, a few years ago we were even smaller. So it almost became our bread and butter to be like, okay, how do we make this work for us and our size, and the fact that we will be smaller, and we will like, how do we make speed and stuff work to our advantage in those situations? So to then have worked on that in other places, and as we were like learning and developing as a team, to then bring it to someone like Reese and Rogan at a Wrestle Carnival or Fight Factory, and all the places that we've worked those guys. It's something where we can see how much we're progressing, what I mean, and something similar to what Jack said as well. We only get better through working proper tag teams and having that sort of chemistry where it's two tag teams doing tag team wrestling, and guys like Reese and Rogan are perfect for that.
Steel sharpens steel.
Exactly. That's it. Yep.
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously, you mentioned Wrestle Carnival. I mean, the Wrestle Carnival, it's a kind of cross promotion thing. The Wrestle Carnival match was for the BWR titles.
It was. We've had kind of a weird thread of wrestling for tag titles for companies that we've not worked for. So before we even debut somewhere, we've already wrestled for their tag titles. It's very strange. I'm not sure how it's happened, but it's happened a weird amount of times.
I think that speaks volumes, though, for you guys. I think the fact that you can come into a promotion and challenge for the title indicates your reputation.
Yeah, and I think it's a bit overwhelming for me and Ben to be like considered a team in that aspect, to be like, oh, we would like you to come in and face our tag champions, and we've got some matches coming up there similar to that, but to not to be benefited to not have to work your way through a tag team division, but kind of to have already done the work elsewhere to go, oh, you can go right to the top and challenge for the titles is always like a massive honor anywhere that we go, where we're sort of given that privilege.
I say it's huge because obviously, the promotions aren't going to insult the fans' intelligence. They're not going to book somebody to just come in and challenge for the titles unless the fans are like, right, this is a credible threat. This team must be good enough to do it. Otherwise, why are we going to invest in the match? So, yeah, I'll say you guys have obviously got the reputation now where you can go anywhere and challenge a tag team for the title. And it'd be like, right, this is going to be a good match. We might get an upset here. Who's to say that two aren't going to win the belts? And it wouldn't be, like a massive shock if you did.
Yeah, once we figure out that Reese and Rogan formula, we'll be winning belts anyway. But we just can't beat those guys.
Work them down for longer than 10 minutes, and I think we've got them.
Yeah, we got one pinfall over them, but it was just about. It was in a scramble, so it didn't matter. We still didn't win that match. But that recent Rogan formula is it's not something that we figured out how to overcome. But if we do, we'll have tag titles everywhere.
2 out of 3 falls match. Gas them out.
Maybe that's the move.
We're having our first 2 out of 3 falls match on, well, as of recording time, this Saturday.
We are indeed.
Where's that?
It's at Future Wrestling. We're the current Future Tag Team Champions. Again, as of time of recording. If you're listening to this and we're not, whoops. We are.
Better be.
But yes, it's Future Wrestling this Saturday. As of recording time against Quintessential. So we are very excited. It's another challenge for us in a match type that we a match type that we've not had before against. I feel like I could speak for both of us. 2 of our favorite opponents.
Yeah, massively.
So it's lots of things all coming together at once. So it's very exciting.
I mean, close. Yeah, 2 out of 3s. It's not that commonplace, especially in a tag team sort of match. And actually, strange enough, True Grit have announced more for their next show. But I mean, obviously, you're going into that. The whole structure of the match has got to be laid out completely different. I mean, do you start off quick? Do you sort of go 10, 15 minutes and then have 3 pinfalls in quick succession? The psychology for you guys must just be like, right, do you sit down and be like, right, let's try and figure this out?
Yeah, I think you've got to, especially against guys like the Quinlans, you've just got to think about speed. Those are they're 2 lads who aren't going to get gassed out. They're both hard hitting. You really got to in our last however many matches we've wrestled them countless times. There's not a clear line of where to beat them. It's me and Ben have got to find those opportunities, and if it is quick pins or if it is having to go 30 minutes like we did last time with them, then you kind of are set up for anything with those lads.
It's also not something we can base on the last time we wrestled them, because to give them their credit, they are fantastic. They are both absolutely incredible and just keep getting better.
Yeah,
and they will keep getting better. As horrible as that is to watch 2 people so young be that good this early, it's something that we have to constantly be preparing for in matches like that.
That's it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with picking up the opponents, because when you do beat them, just means that you're beating the best of the best. It just makes you guys look even better. So, again, talking promotions, I mean, you guys literally, as I sort of said before, you kind of hit the ground running in the sense of, when I talk to a lot of people, you know, they're kind of, for a few years, they're within a certain radius, you know, of near where they learned to wrestle. I'm looking at your CVs basically, and I'm seeing TNT. I saw we mentioned Wrestle, Carnival, True Grit, Rev Pro, Flight Sacrifice, obviously Wet Cake, Atomic. Dude, and you guys are just everywhere.
We have quite a lot of road miles on us. I think that is absolutely worked to our benefit. Something that me and Jack both kind of agreed on early doors is we don't want to be, I guess pigeonholed is the wrong word, but we don't want to be settled in one scene. We don't want to be settled in one area. We want to experience as much as we possibly can and travel around as much as we possibly can. And the career paths that we try to mold ours from of some of our peers and people have gone on to be signed to different companies and like TV products and things like that. That is the path we're trying to go down. And for everybody we look up to and the people that have gone and made it like that, they've started by making sure their faces are everywhere. So that's something that we were really, really hot on doing probably before we were ready. But now, especially as you know, as we've developed and learned over the years, something that I'm very, very happy that we started so early.
Yeah, I think it's a bit tricky trying not to be overseen, because I feel like sometimes the connections that you make with people can be not as strong as they would be if you were only ever in that scene. So if we were just kind of in one place all the time, obviously it's easier to wrestle people multiple times, which means, of course, you're going to have better matches with them, and not being pinned down to a certain place has its like negative sides. But I think in the long haul, me and Ben being able to work instead of just being in like a very tight knit group, trying to work as many people as possible from all over the country has made us better, but also it's made us more just friends around the country, and we can pretty much go to 90% of shows and we'll know at least a couple of people, or there'll be friends of friends that are there, which is pretty cool. From like, because you think when you like we were saying when we first came in, I didn't know Ben for 10 months. We met, I didn't really like him, and now we can go all around the country and we've got friends sort of from the top to the bottom.
That's awesome. And again, you know, from speaking to people, you know, 87% of wrestling is networking. It's knowing people. It's getting your face out there. And of two promotions I didn't mention prior, you know, Odyssey and North as well, kind of thing. So, dude, you're going from like the northeast to the northwest, stopping off in Yorkshire, going down to the Midlands. Dude, I mean, yeah. So, do you guys, is it just you two guys in the car, or do you just get a few other people in there to split the petrol?
We get as many as we can. Like filling a car is always fun. It's always good to travel with Luca Romeo.
Little shout out for old.
He's
Luca Romeo.
Big Lionel, always good fun on the road. But like, yeah, there's so many people, and I think that's such a fun aspect of it. You hear a lot of people moan about the travel aspect, but I think me and Ben thrive in it.
We absolutely agree.
Being on the road is like some of my fondest memories in wrestling, or outside the ring, of just me and Ben in the car and like being around your mates and getting to spend a good bit of time. Even like 4 o'clock in the morning in a services Mackey's, like half away.
Just trying to keep yourself and everyone else awake in those times, and even stuff that at the time would pose as very stressful. We wrestled at Apex back in, it was either December or January, I believe.
I think it was December.
4-hour journey for us. On the way back, we get snowed onto the motorway.
After almost crashing as well.
After almost crashing. a few times.
Yeah.
We're finally like, right, we are stuck. We are here. With only our body heat to keep us alive, and I've got like at the time, of course, very stressful. But you can't let yourself get down in those situations. You have to enjoy. Almost literally, you have to enjoy the journey as well as the destination.
It's a story to be told afterwards. It's something you can look back on and have a laugh about, and that's your story right there. Because obviously, again, I've spoken to people 1 year into the careers. I've spoken to people like 20 years into careers, like Sticks, RJ Singh, Haskins, Nathan Cruz, and you speak to the older guys, and like you sort of said, the key thing was the travels. Being in the car, going from like 3-4 hour drives sometimes, but just enjoying it. Having a laugh. It's just spending time with your mates, basically.
I feel I'd like to think we're good car company. I'm not sure how the Americans do it. They do like 14-hour trips all the time. That's wow. Okay, whoa. Don't know if we have enough comedy for 14 hours.
Yeah, 4 hours is kind of our peak. If you get into like 4.5, 5 hours, we kind of.
I think that's a very British long
5 hours
drive,
of stories.
Yes.
5 hours is a very British long drive because you can get anywhere in 5 hours here. 5 hours, you're not getting into a different state in the US,
That's it. In America, they drive 2 hours just to go to the shop or something, or just to go watch the kid play college football or something. It's totally different mindset. To them, it's just like, for me, anything more than an hour, I'm like, I'm questioning it. So, but I mentioned Odyssey before. I actually spoke to Ethan, promoter there, just before you guys wrestled. He was just on about booking you guys for Odyssey and how much he was looking forward to it. Odyssey is a promotion. If I get a chance to talk about it, I'm always going to talk about it because I think it's very unique. And, as the saying goes, it's real in Morecambe. How did you guys find Odyssey, work in Odyssey?
Yeah, that it is really Morecambe. So much fun. What a place. I remember speaking to the guys before we debuted there, and we were talking about like ideas, and we came down to a show just to check out a show, just to help out. Some of our friends were there as well. And we'd been told about it, and we were like, "Oh, it sounds good." And then being there and seeing the atmosphere in person, we were like, "Oh, we were just kind of chomping at the bit. Couldn't wait to get on there." And then we had our first match there. Crowd were electric for us before we'd even done anything, and we were like, "Oh, this is gonna be amazing." And then in the 2 shows we've done there now, it just has seemed to have gone from strength to strength, and feel like they're such a receptive crowd. They're super giving. They're fully into the wrestling. It's not like, I feel like some places you can be and they're a little bit 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Morecambe completely love everything that is going on for the whole 2 hours of the show.
Plus, now I love RPD, right? I think RPD is great. I don't know if I've ever loved anything as much as Morecambe love RPD.
Yeah, he's their guy.
It is unbelievable.
I think he's going to run for mayor. We were talking about him running for mayor last time.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Does Morecambe have a mayor? They will. It will be him, but it will be. They will now.
Is Morecambe a city? Do cities have mayors? How do mayors work? What is Morecambe?
When you're walking down the street with a bill, that's just starts. But when he retires from wrestling, you'll just see
big sash on and everything. Yeah. Got the Mayor Quimby sash and.
Morecambe is a town. It's a town in England, so it would have a mayor, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Every town has a mayor?
The town I live in has a mayor, I think.
Does it?
I don't know. Let me Google that as well. The towns have mayor.
Sorry, yeah, we're really bad for this. We are gonna have to get back on track, or this will be a podcast about mayors.
Each town has a mayor. And RPD is the mayor of Morecambe.
Who is the current mayor of Morecambe?
I'm not Googling that.
I am. Give me a second.
Find out who it is, and then just send him a quick message saying, apologies, in a few years, RPD, it's coming for your job, mate. That's it, No holds barred.
Roger Dennison, watch out.
Yeah, Roger Dennison,
Okay.
with your neck, mate.
Oh, he looks quite old. I fancy RPD's chances here.
Dude, bam, that's it, done. No ropes, barbed wire match.
We're quite bad for this. We've previously sidetracked about X Factor before on a
That was way longer than Mayor stuff.
That was a lot longer than Mayor stuff. Mayor stuff lasted 5 minutes. X Factor lasted about an hour. So
talking about Rachel from the X Factor.
I would literally just sat here like, yourself out, go for it. If you want to sidetrack into movies or comic books or anything like that, I can participate. But X Factor, I would literally just be sat here like.
So far more niche, like Mayors and X Factor.
Can you give us your top 3 favorite Mayors of Morecambe?
Dude, go for it. That'll be the follow-up episode. You know what? We'll put it out to the audience. We'll run a few polls. We'll see what the results are. And we can discuss them next time. Odyssey. Yeah, so that is generally, though, that's Odyssey. That seems to be the whole mindset. Like you said, it's just real there. Well, I know somebody told me about a guy turned up once wearing a Lance Rivera t-shirt and he nearly got mobbed. And it's like,
oh my goodness! At their last show, Rick Marcus turns on RPD. There are people crying, running out of the building. Like this is incredible. It's like their mayor has been shot.
It's exactly like
it really is. I don't know. I feel like they're more passionate about RPD as a wrestler than they would be as a mayor.
I don't know.
Is anybody passionate about their mayor? Are they mayor fans?
They're passionate about RPD doing anything.
Yeah,
RPD could be walking a dog in Morecambe and they go crazy.
No, you're right. You're right.
Oh, look at the way he's walking. Oh, the struts. It's perfect. So, from that end to that end, North, how did you find? Because obviously, again, North are a promotion that are just absolutely sort of smashing it. I think it's a promotion that's on a lot of people's lists to work if they haven't worked. It's where they want to go. You guys have worked North. How did you find it up there? Did you enjoy it?
It was incredible. It's somewhere we had on our list. We absolutely did, and to go there and immediately be put in their tag tournament was just massive for us. And there's kind of lots of things that fell together for that. Man like Derice helped us a lot in regards of sort of opening the door to North for us. So we're very grateful for that. And it was an incredible experience. We'd absolutely love to go back. Of course, it is, I think, the furthest away from where we're based that we've been in regards to England itself. But it was absolutely incredible, honestly.
Yeah,
it's a good 4-hour drive. Sorry, Dick.
It's I couldn't put it better than Ben. I find it like personally, I'm not 100% how Ben feels about it, but like I get so nervous for that kind of stuff, and I like built North up to this crazy level in my head because it is at such a high level, and it felt so huge to work there. Not only because it is huge and so many people watch it and so many people love it, and there's such a big following of it, and it's very professional, but also like on a personal level, really enjoying what North do as a wrestling fan, and then a lot of your peers also would love to work there. So it feels you're like, oh wow, I get this thing that even some of my mates who are just as good as me, they think this is brilliant. So it must be so brilliant. But then along with that comes these crazy nerves of like, oh well, I've got to show up because it's North.
Yeah, and just to kind of bounce off that for a second as well, it's being accepted into places like a North and getting to work for Rev Pro and TNT and things where it's almost comforting to a point where like, okay, we must be doing something right. It's very much like, okay, it's like those nerves that you do have and like the worries and things that generally just come with sort of being a wrestler on the scene and stuff. It can kind of quash those just a little bit when you're like, okay, I must be doing something right here, because there are these places that are accepting of us, which is still sort of in a way crazy to the both of us. We definitely haven't lost that, in the sense of, tell us we'd be here 2 years ago and we'd laugh. It's really it's something that's sort of hard to come to terms with, but in a good way.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I say it's like we said beforehand, though. Obviously, you're getting booked into these shows, these promotions. You're getting booked in for title challenges, things like that straight away. So yeah, it gives you guys, it's like the pat on the back. You're obviously doing something right. But then on the flip side, do you feel the pressure? Like you said, you're walking into these places, and you like you said, right, I've got to deliver. It's not up or shut up time. Let's go.
Yeah, massively, and like the pressure of not only like put it on yourself, but then you're like, yeah, you have to perform on this high stage. But then, like, I think me and Ben put a lot of pressure on ourselves every night of the week, and like, I think we're both a little bit, and I think a lot of wrestlers are a little bit crazy about their stuff and like super specific. And me and Ben will watch things back 1,000 times, and we'll watch things with like a fine tooth comb in the car. And I don't think that necessarily helps with our nerves and makes things better. But I think in the long haul, it's probably made us smoother and more polished with stuff, because we do fixate over those things.
It does, and we're both very strong believers in you treat everything like it's a big deal. Treat everything like you're trying to impress the 10-year-old in you who you've just told you're now a wrestler. And we both think, like, sort of, if you're not coming in with that sort of attitude of like, oh, this is, I am wrestling today, this is important, this is a big deal, then it's a questionable approach if that isn't your approach to us anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Because again, you're making that impression. Whether you've worked there, 10 times, 20 times, it's your first time there. There's always going to be those fans there that have never seen you before. There's always going to be a first-time fan at a show. Every show you work, you're making a first impression to somebody.
Yeah, and that's massively important. Like, not being too, I think it's like being a bit too cute for yourself and thinking like, oh, everyone knows my stuff, everyone's gonna pop because it's Voodoo Child. And I think if you go out and treat everything like, oh, don't worry, everyone will know us. Like, I think if we would have come out with that kind of mindset, like at the True Grit show that you were at, I think we would have got eaten alive by that crowd, and they wouldn't have been invested in us at all. But I think because we were willing to meet them halfway and go, okay, this is who we are, here's something, then there's something you can get behind in that.
Definitely, that's it. Like I said, just like I say, it's not a besmirchment on you guys. Like I say, 90% of the audience can know who you are, but you're always going to have that maybe one or two people. It's their first show. It's especially somewhere like Odyssey or somewhere where it's very family based. The kids just got into wrestling, the family's taking the kid to the show for the first time. They lock eyes on you guys, and then suddenly you're like, yes, you've got a brand new fan because you guys deliver every time.
Thank you.
That's hopefully that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's just like I say, it's not that people don't know who you are. It's just you've always got to go out there. I think, well, again, talking of Odyssey, Ethan sort of said, you've got to treat the fans like it's their first ever wrestling show, because you can't take for granted that everybody knows what's going on. You've got to tell them who to cheer for, who to boo for, and you've got to work that way. And yeah, just make the best impression you can. But again, I just feel like I'm blowing smoke, which I'm not. It's genuine. You guys are obviously doing, because again, the promotions that I'm mentioning. I've got to ask though, obviously, when I've done my research, what made you go from AWOL to Act 2?
Wow.
Wow.
Incredible blast from the past question. Wonderful.
Scroll on Cage Match.
Yeah, wow. So AWOL was a trio. It was a trio. Our good friend Andy, we teamed together all for pretty much the same reasons. At the time, we all started out together. In our careers, we had our first outside of training bookings together and things like that. And of course, things happen in the sense of course, lockdown affected a lot of people's views on not only wrestling but their lives in general and things, and it gave a lot of people time to reflect and things like that. And at the time, he wasn't very happy with him wrestling, which does happen to people, and it was his choice to sort of take that and be like, okay, I'm going to kind of go and explore other things. So the decision to change from AWOL to Act 2 was purely that we have very fond memories of AWOL and sort of being in that trio with him. But it was, okay, this is something different now. It's something new. We need a new name. We've got to, like, as we progress and move on, we need to sort of rebrand and roll with that.
I think we also saw AWOL as like, it was kind of, we were kind of trying to trick British wrestling to let three lads from Stoke to like kind of worm our way into promotions, and we're like, no, it's not three random guys you're booking. We're a faction.
Yeah.
And we were all like, we were happy enough in the trio or in the stable, whatever, but we all wanted to be our own wrestler. And then I think like we weren't slick enough with trying to get in and then be like, oh yeah, but one of us is this thing, one of us is this thing, and then the other guy's this. Whereas, and I think me and Ben were guilty of it when we had the actual idea of like, this is what we want to do next. We were guilty of still kind of being too, well, I'm this and I'm this, and then it was quite a stark difference in the team. Whereas we've just found that gel for a good couple of years now. I think we've had it, but we've kind of figured out where we are, not only as people, but where we are in the team as well. So now it no longer seems like we're trying to scam our way into places by being like, oh, we're a team. Oh no, actually, he's him and I'm me. Whereas now we've actually come together and became this team.
And it's something I think we were only ever able to develop over time. It's sort of chemistry can't be taught, I think, is the best. And there was every chance that me and Jack would approach Act 2 and be like, okay, this is what we're going to do, and it not work and completely fall apart. It was just as likely for that to happen as it was to be a success, because you truly never know until you're in that situation. And because AWOL was so early on in our career, we didn't have that yet. We hadn't figured out our chemistry yet, and we also sort of hadn't learned enough about wrestling and its format and the way it works as far as sort of the outer scene goes, where we would have been able to make that work in the long run.
Yeah.
It's confidence. It's you know, it all comes with experience and confidence. That's the two key words I would presume. As you're building up confidence, as you get more experience, you build that momentum.
I think you've got it spot on there. I just don't think we were confident, even as wrestlers at that point, of what we were doing or how we were doing it, and then having these three stark differences. Whereas, like, I don't think neither me or Ben have lost an identity to this team. We're still who we are as individuals and who we are as wrestlers. But we found that in the team, and we found that confidence through being a team. Whereas prior to that, we were kind of just faking confidence and hoping that one day it'd click.
Yeah, I think through developing as a team, we found ourselves as wrestlers and as people, really, because me and Jack are very different, sort of in a lot of ways. We have different influences. We like different things. There's so many differences to us that
you've got really good lighting. My lamp is there.
You're on a sideways lamp. I have a headset. You're doing this through earpods.
Yeah,
this is like
you look like real fresh. You look like you've just had a shower. I came straight from training. You look great.
But it's something that Opposites attract, I guess, and it definitely worked for us. That's also a great song. Shout out Paula Abdul. Shout out Paula Abdul. Paula Abdul and Top Cats.
It's an absolutely fine song.
Whoa! See what I mean? See?
I'm with you on this one. I'll back Paula every day of the week.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely fine song.
Paula Abdul for mayor, is that?
Yeah.
What are you saying?
If Paula Abdul and RPD run against each other, I'm not voting. I won't be able to.
On the fence, that's it. Right. So you're talking to influencers. Give us examples then of the contrast. I love the fact that the conversation's gone on this path, and it's like, Jack just pointed out, we've got Mr. Clean over this side, all bright, ready to go. And yeah, Jack's chilled out in the dark, in the shadows, looking very grunge. And total opposites. So influencers, what's the differences?
I think luckily tag wise we're quite similar, and we like quite similar tag wrestling. But for sort of regular day-to-day wrestling, I like watch a lot of Japanese stuff. I watch a lot of technical stuff, a lot of old British stuff. Like I'm a big sort of Saber. I love Jordan Breaks. Those kind of like real British wrestling influence styles, which I don't do a crazy amount of. It's something that I like to do. But again, with working mostly in a team, it's better for me to tag out to Ben and we'll work something together than me try and put someone in a Shropshire. You know what I mean? Like influence wise on singles wrestling, yeah, it's definitely more that kind of stuff. But yeah, like I say, tag wrestling, we're very much on the same page.
Whereas my influences were big personalities and sort of from a generally Western TV product. I make no attempt to hide that Sami Zayn is my favorite wrestler of all time. And I'm sure you can definitely see that through my wrestling. At least I hope so. But it was sort of bigger personalities. The very first wrestler I ever saw was Eddie Guerrero. And it was full lowrider, like big entrance, the music, the presentation and things like that. I think that's what hooked me initially. And that's something I look for. And then in sort of British influences and people on the scene, of course, Jack mentioned like Zack Sabre Jr. and Jordan Breaks. My influences in that respect would be a Charles Crowley or a Tate Mayfairs. And like that is the kind of wrestling that I gravitate myself towards. But somehow both of those things combined, and we have very similar opinions tag team wise. For 2 years, we just tried to be the Motor City Machine Guns until we got caught by Liam Slater. Liam Slater. If it wasn't for Liam Slater, though, we might still be trying to do that. So thank you.
Yeah, we were probably the top Motor City Machine Guns tribute act.
Absolutely. Despite looking nothing like this.
Yeah, despite them having like Sig gear and looking nothing like that.
But we were incredibly lucky to get the chance to tell Chris Sabin this.
Yeah.
We were able to like have the privilege of meeting Chris Sabin, and we got to kind of have our little fanboy gush moment where we're like, oh, we just tried to be you for 2 years because you guys are what we aspire to be. So of course since then we've developed our own style and things. The influences are definitely still there. I think every wrestler is an amalgamation of all of their favorite aspects of wrestling and their favorite moves and their favorite this and that, and you just pick and choose from everybody. And it's borrowing, not stealing. So
yeah, and if you were a TNA tag team, we've definitely borrowed.
Yeah. Shout out TNA tag division.
Yeah,
I'm getting the Rascals. I'm seeing the Rascals as well.
Oh, I wish.
Oh, I'll take that. We've not had that before. I'll take that.
I did a very big borrow of the kick combination that all the Rascals did, and then I did just the exact same kick combination. I thought I can't keep doing this, but I did for like 2 or 3 shows, but it was literally just the exact same one that they all do.
Although I wish we could do push moonsault.
Oh, me too.
Unreal.
So cool.
Unreal.
I don't want to do that. Your legs are well long, so I'd end up so far away.
Just kick you into the third row.
Yeah, we could do that
Mid-moons.
corner to corner if you did the leg push with the result.
So what did Liam Slater say then? What was his words of wisdom? Was it just a case like, stop it, knock it off, I know what you're doing, or come on guys, you know?
Oh no, he was super nice.
He was super nice, but it was as clear as you're just some Motor City Machine Guns.
Yeah, you're just.
And we're like, you're the first person who's noticed, really. It's not.
Like, you're kind of slowly doing their moves. You're doing their moves, but slower.
Yeah, it wasn't something that was intentional. We didn't approach as like, oh, we are just going to do all the Motor City Machine Guns things. It was more like learning how to take from influences and not plagiarize. And of course, at that point in time, when we spoke to Liam about this, it was something we hadn't quite got to the full extent yet. So, but that really helped us. Somebody actually noticing and somebody being like, "Hey, you're doing lots of this. How do you become Act 2 as a product, and not just, oh, you do a bunch of this guy's stuff and a bunch of this guy's stuff and a bunch of this guy's stuff." And I think there are so many people who are guilty of it. And that's not me trying to like sort of but throw anybody under the bus there. It's just a general thing that lots of people will do at certain points where they're like, oh, I really like this guy and how he wrestles, so I'm just going to be him and just a different version of him. Whereas taking that time to sort of sit down and then work through things and like, does this work for us? Is this a part of us? Like, is this Act 2 or is this us trying to be something else? It takes time and it takes like the perseverance, but it's something that's definitely worth doing, especially when you find yourself in those situations where you're like, you're just doing this. I'm like, damn.
Again, it comes back to confidence. It comes back to experiences. Having the confidence to be able to do a move, but then make it your own. So you can do the elements there, but the mannerism beforehand or the mannerism afterwards, that's 100% you. That then kind of makes it your own move. That's just like a homage to somebody else's as opposed to just a blatant rip.
Absolutely. So to call back to something Jack mentioned earlier, it was trying to find yourself in what you're doing. And it's something that I think as soon as we started doing that, that's when things really started flowing for us.
I think looking at things a bit like a bit deeper into things as well, of like, we would watch things as a team and we'd watch other teams do stuff when we'd like match study and stuff, and we'd be like, oh, that's amazing. And I think a much younger
I think your microphone died.
It did.
Oh.
Hello?
Hello. Aha.
My headphones
Just a good bit. I was like, and it's just like, and then nothing.
Am I back?
Yes.
I'm back. What was I saying?
That could have been the best words of wisdom anyone's ever heard.
You know what?
Just an epiphany.
It was something about how we just steal moves, or like we'd match study something and we go, oh, that's really cool, we'll just do that. Whereas now I think me and Ben are just slightly wiser to look at something and opposed to go, oh, those moves work, which is kind of the easy answer. We'd go, oh, why did it work? What did they do? What was the reason? Why did things happen? When was the tag? What was the emotion behind things? Did it happen at this time? Should it have happened earlier or later? And if you can take the building blocks of something without taking the movement of something, then by the time you put your own movement in it, it's something completely different.
Oh, definitely. And like I said before, it's everybody's guilty of doing it. It's not straight off, but there's so many people out there that you can kind of see who their heroes are or who they've trained by because of certain moves, during a match. Like Takeshita for AEW. It's been said a few times he loves Sami Zayn, great minds. He's hitting the haluva kick, he's hitting the blue thunder bomb, and he's doing it in exactly the same way Sami does, but it's because of the other stuff that he does, it's kind of just seen as a homage as opposed to blatant theft.
Are you drinking a Red Bull at 5 to 11?
This wasn't intentional, so I just kind of, there's not a lot left. I started this ages ago. I'm very slow at eating and drinking. That's just a little thing.
Yes.
This is only a small one too.
That's absurd. How much did it cost you? Is that £1.37 for it?
That's very specific. Also, respawn me this. I don't know how much it cost. Yeah, but that might be wrong. It was from a corner shop. They never adhere to these.
But what does it say on the tin?
155.
Whoa. Thatcher's Britain. What an odd time to be drinking a Red Bull.
If you turned up to this recording on time, I would have had this Red Bull finished. This would have been...
I don't think you would have done.
Yes, I would. I'm just saying.
You'll be drinking that tomorrow.
We'll see each other on Saturday, and I'll have the same kind of Red Bull. I'll be like, "You're right,
dude." Oh, sorry, I've just totally clocked the time when you just said then about it being 5 to 11. I was like, "Oh shit, sorry." Yeah, we've gone over the hour mark. Right, I just totally lost track. It's just right. Anything coming up that you guys want to hype up? Where can people see you coming up? Obviously, you mentioned the 2 out of 3 falls count this Saturday. Anything else you can announce in the next coming months? Anywhere? Any big matches coming up?
Absolutely. We are back at Elevation. Of course, we talked about Joseph Connors earlier. We are back at Elevation this Sunday. We are wrestling for Chaos at Chaos Rising on the 4th of May. We're at United Wrestling in Oxford on the 5th of May. We
also Elevation on the 5th.
Elevation on the 5th as well. Yeah. We have a Future, of course, has been expanding recently. They're expanding to Sheffield. We'll be there on the 19th of May. And most recently announced, which was just yesterday, we're debuting at Wrestling Resurgence on the 1st of June. So
very excited for that.
Lots and lots of stuff coming up that we are very, very excited about. So
have they announced your opponents for Resurgence?
They have indeed. We are wrestling Evil Shred, they're tag team champions, Sky Smithson and LA Taylor, 2 people who have also been on our list for people we'd like to wrestle, and something that we're very excited about. So Resurgence is somewhere else that we've been seeking to work there for a long time. So to be brought in with such a high profile match as well is very exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, ties back to what we were saying at the start of the call. You're getting called into promotion. Never worked there before. First match, Bosch, title shot. So, guys, that again speaks volumes. Obviously, keep doing what you're doing. It's obviously fucking working. You're ticking all the boxes. You're getting pulled in. You're getting booked as an attraction. You're going for the titles. So yeah, if I get to speak to you guys again in the future, I just want to see you both just laid with belts. I just want to see like a belt.
Well, actually, you know what? For people watching on YouTube, I actually have the Atomic Tag Team Championship right here.
Nice. Mine's not close.
It is actually this small. This is
quality, not quantity.
Yeah.
I didn't. Well, I'm going to let you go. I just didn't even get a chance to mention. Obviously, worked against Scouts and Proud. Some of the other teams, that you've worked against that have been just absolutely awesome. So hopefully you've enjoyed it.
Great.
Yes.
Scouts and Proud.
Right, I'm going to end it on this. How did you find? Did you enjoy that match? How does it when you? I know some people are kind of on the fence. Intergender wrestling. To me, anyone can kick anyone's ass. It's fun. How did you find that match as an example?
Yeah, it was so much fun. I don't think there is intergender wrestling. I think there's wrestling, especially against Lizzie and Harley. They kicked 7 shades through us, so it definitely didn't feel like intergender wrestling. It felt like we got battered for 15 minutes.
We got approached at the merch table by about 8 or 9 Scouse children who went, "You got battered by girls." And we're like, "Yeah, odd girls. You seen them?" Fully agree with that point. Just to echo what Jack said as well, there's not intergender wrestling; it's just wrestling. Some of our best experiences and favorite matches have been with some of the amazing women in British wrestling.
Yeah.
Shout out to Lucia Lee as well, if
definitely.
she's listening. One of our favorite people and favorite opponents that both of us have had. So I'm very happy, and I'm sure I can speak for Jack on this too, that a lot more places on a lot bigger scales are opening the doors to wrestling of all kinds, and male versus female matches and things like that. It's something that is becoming a lot more commonplace, and it's about time.
Yes, definitely. Shout out to North, because I know North don't have a women's title. They just literally have anybody can go for any title kind of thing. So that to me, that's huge. There's no contrast there. So, gentlemen, I'm going to end it on that note. Sorry, I kept you for a little bit longer. Do you want to plug your socials where people can sort of see what you're up to, what you've been up to, what you're doing?
Yeah, I'll do my first because Ben definitely knows where the underscore goes in the Act 2 one. You can just find me JackNudson01, Instagram and X, and then Facebook.com/JackNudson Wrestler. That's it for me.
You just made me realize this is the first time we've done a podcast since it's been called X. I was definitely about to say Twitter.
Yeah, I didn't stumble on X.
That was really good.
I stumbled on Facebook.com/.
That's because nobody uses Facebook. You can't find a Facebook page for me.
Because I need an 11 p.m. Red Bull, bud. So
yeah, exactly. If you were wired like me on this 11 p.m., you'd know what's happening. You can find me Instagram and X. I stumbled. At Sweet Prince BH, and on Twitter there is a joint account. It's act_2_2 written out as well, not the number.
That's it, gentlemen. Obviously, find us on Twitter. It is Twitter. I refuse to call it X. I still send tweets. I don't send X's.
I put all that effort in to make sure I said X. Then you just got him. Twitter anyway.
Right, dude. WTLS 316. No, WTLS 316 is the Instagram account run by Ash. WTLS 420 is the X account. Find us on there. And then, obviously, thank you for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe, do all the generic stuff you do after watching a video on YouTube. Keep your eyes peeled as I'm talking to Jake Silver tomorrow. And myself and JC and Sean Only are watching Canadian Stampede next week. So, plenty to watch coming up. So we will see you again very soon. Gentlemen, it has been an absolute genuine pleasure, and the time has flown past. So apologies for keeping you longer than I said I would. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was good fun.
Right, we will all see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.